Stuff, but it's been a while since we last time talked. I mean, man, we've been busy as hell.
Yeah, that we have. That we have. Most certainly.
Yeah, we had a storm. I was out of power for almost a whole day. Oh my goodness! Do not get me started with that.
Well, they did say that at the time that the storm was happening, that particular storm was the most powerful storm on the planet at that very moment.
Oh yeah, these Oklahoma storms. What can you say about them? They're a
It
bitch.
was literally the perfect storm because the wind levels were as high as straight winds, and they were it was basically there was two descriptions I heard from the news from the weather people. One, that it was comparable to a inland hurricane, and two, that it was the equivalent of a half of a three city sized EF1 tornado.
Oh yeah, I'm still trying to get used to the new EF scale because I'm still used to the F1 F5 scale. You know.
I know, I know. I used to say, okay, what function key tornado are we going to get this year?
Yeah. I mean, I was at work when the storm hit. I was like, please don't let my road, please don't let any roads be blocked. So they were flooded, but by the time I got off of work, it was clear to say, oh, thank you, I could go home, no problem. But when I got home at 11:30, there was no power at my place, so I had to go through the back door.
You know, I used to have a joke that I'd run with the original Vegeta scale.
Uh huh.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay.
F1, sure. F2, okay. F3, not so good. F4, I don't think so. F5, oh my god. F6, F you.
Oh yeah. So let's not talk about storms anymore because I do not. We can go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah. We're not a meteorology talk, so.
Yeah. Something you sent me this video the other day through Facebook, and I was like, okay, what did Steph send me? Because I mean, sometimes you send me something good. Sometimes like, okay, I get it. But you sent me the a video of ProJared. It's like his receipt video, if you want to say, his evidence video of the allegation against him.
So here's what's going on. This video is his presentation of his side of the story. And he describes, in a kind of a funny way, but still serious way, he has the receipts to disprove, basically the evidence to disprove almost practically everything that he has been charged with. And when you watch the video, you begin to wonder what started this in the first place and how did we believe it?
Yeah, I mean, at first I was skeptical about the allegations against ProJared. I mean, like we both met him at a convention here, probably at different days because you probably met him on a Saturday. I met him on Sunday because that's when I went to see him on his panel.
Right.
And all I got from him was positivity. We chatted a little bit. I mean, it was probably like a 10, 15-minute chat because I didn't want, to take up a whole day with the guy. I mean, I could have talked to him forever.
Right, right.
And
Big fanboy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like his humor is, unique. I mean, even though he has a very unusual face, I mean, who doesn't have a pretty face? I mean,
All right, all right, all right. So, continue.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah, as far as I know, he's a polite person. He's just like in his middle, but he has a little bit more humor, and he's just an average guy who just wants to have fun with his life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yes, at the time, at his height of his popularity, he had over 1 million subscribers. Lost about 25% of his, viewers or subscribers, and he's slowly going back and up. I never unsubscribed to him until he had something that proved to me otherwise, because I wasn't going to just unsubscribe and say he's a piece of trash. I mean, yes, I did think he did the stuff, but apparently he did not.
Hmm. So basically, what you're saying is you were never going to unsubscribe from him until you heard both sides of the story.
Exactly, because I did not want to crucify the guy, because I'm not that type of person to hate a guy or anyone for for an actual mistake or something that's been completely misled.
Hmm.
I mean, have I misjudged people in the past? Absolutely. But when you have, but when there was no evidence, well, there was some evidence, but I kind of questioned it because it was only like a little, kind of like a small appetizer compared to his 8-course meal of evidence that he had.
I think what the word you're looking for is the evidence that it was originally provided was circumstantial.
Yeah. Or it was a whole lot more than what
Hmm.
the allegations were. So I figured, I, I mean, yeah, I believe all victims, but they gotta show me evidence before I
Hmm.
can can believe them, because I don't want to I don't want to hate a guy over as a a form of disinformation or whatever they were trying to do.
Hmm. Yeah, ProJared has always been a wonderful person who I am happily have never unsubscribed from. He is a excellent YouTuber, and he has great views in the gaming industry. But whenever I heard the allegations, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. He doesn't sound like something he would do. Uh, the one thing that kind I felt that he would do was exchanging the nudes, but from what I knew of him, it did not sound like he was the type of person to uh, just casually exchange news without asking for people's age, without crossing his T's and dotting his I's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you
Um,
mean.
I really questioned that. Now, the thing is that just like you, I didn't hear both sides of the story, and I found it odd that no one was interviewing him, no one was reporting emails that they had talked back and forth with him. It was really unusual. So I was just like you, waiting for his response. And then we got it just a couple of days ago. And I got to say, with everything that he has brought up, I'm wondering exactly what happened, and is there any legal matter to be discussed with this? Because basically, what has been done to him, well, I don't know if it could be called assault, but it could definitely be called harassment.
I'd probably go with more harassment or possibly blackmailing him, but I highly doubt that will fit
Well,
that.
here's the thing. Blackmail would have to be if they actually asked for something in return, which they did not.
Yeah, I mean it. I mean, like, it could have been more harassment than blackmail, but sometimes I get it just pretends what the official legal definition of blackmail is, but apparently it seems to fit more of a harassment type of definition.
Hmm. Yes. Um, Now, what he does discuss in this video is how um, he has kept all of the screenshots, all of the records. He calls them receipts, but I think that's just a clever way of saying records. You know, he kept all the records and the evidence of everything that he had. Now, one thing to note: why did it take him so long to come out with this? Well, in his video, he explains he wanted to make sure that he didn't approach anybody until it was the until he was 100% on everything about the situation. He wanted to make sure that everything that he was about to speak about to the public was he wanted to make sure he had a complete understanding of what he was talking about before he stepped into you know, a frying pan that could have been sizzling. Sorry. Derail.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Basically, what I'm saying is he wanted to make sure that he had everything in order, organized, knew what he wanted to say, knew what he could say, what he couldn't, but more specifically, that he had all the proof to back it up before coming out into the open.
Yeah, I think that was kind of smart because if he would release, came out with video, let's say like a week after the allegations, he'll probably make a lot of mistakes, and it'll make his defense look a little
Well,
sloppy.
not just mistakes, but he may not have had all the information to access to it, available to him at that time, and due to how public view was considered about him, he probably wouldn't have gotten a word in.
I probably think that as well since you mentioned that because it's possibly I mean like if he would respond like right away, it looks like he's just like trying to defend himself out of the
Mm-hmm.
blue because he knows that he's in trouble and he's just trying to say something.
Exactly.
And my, I mean like after a month or so passed, you know what? I feel like I'm just gonna take. I mean, I was just gonna say, you know what? If Jared ever said that he did this, and he says everything he says about me is true, I did this. Yes, as far as I know, they told me that they were over 18, and yet they lied to me, and they didn't tell that to the press. Or I mean, like if he, well, to me it would be more like an excuse. But since he
Mm-hmm.
is showing that there was a conversation, and he did ask the guy's age, and so that to me puts him off the hook of criticizing him the way I was originally going to do it. But I give him the credit for taking his time with the evidence that he looked
Yeah.
at.
What was amazing was he actually showed that the original screenshots that the kids used as evidence against him of him supposedly not asking for their age and forcing the content on him. Turns out he had screenshots of the original full conversation, and what they excluded from the public eye was the fact that actually he did ask for their age first and foremost,
Yeah, that's
which
true.
is really unbelievable. By the way, anyone who's listening, we will be including a link to his video in the description
Description.
below.
Yeah, I need to find that, and it's in my
I will
history.
get I will get that for you. Trust me,
All
I will
right,
do that.
thanks. Yeah, because I mean I know where it is in my history, but thanks for making sure I get the
Hmm.
right one.
Yeah. The other thing is that he goes into further detail beyond that, not just about the allegations about these two children that he supposedly wrong did.
Oh yeah.
He also goes into the fact that apparently the public eye also got wrong his relationship status with his wife.
Yeah, when he said that he was back, if I remember his statement right, he said back in the October he was trying to end his marriage in October of last year or 2018. Whenever you guys are listen to this, it was in October of 2018. He tried to end his marriage with his wife Heidi. I think that's her name. I could be wrong. And he was going after another cosplayer, Holly Conrad. I mean, I've been following Holly Conrad for a couple years, and I think, yeah, she's a talented person, but I don't think she's like, I'll give her like a B plus cosplayer, but not like a triple A cosplayer. But I mean, I'm not saying she's bad, but she is a pretty good cosplayer if you ask me.
Hmm. You derailed there a little bit.
On
So
on what?
Oh, nothing, nothing, nothing. So, but the thing to note about that he said about his wife in the situation, the record, or should I say, the allegations against ProJared is that uh, either him, I don't remember exactly, but he was either Jared cheated on his wife or his wife cheated on him, and his something happened where his wife was wanting a divorce.
Yeah, I'm not for sure. I wasn't paying that much part
Mm-hmm.
attention with the wife because I mean, like, two people's personal life is none of my business. So I mean, like,
Right.
if they go their separate ways, that's fine. If one cheated on another, that's not my business. I mean, as
Mm-hmm.
long as they can find a mutual terms to
Right.
part on, that's all I care about. Can they?
And yeah, go ahead.
I mean, as I say, and if they can just look back and say, hey, we made a lot of mistakes. Let's just be friends because that's probably a good thing. They should have just said, hey, we're parting ways and hopefully just be friends from this day
Yeah,
forward.
but most notably to understand is that it turns out Jared was the one trying to leave the relationship. It was not his wife. And his wife actually denied divorce. She says, "No, I'm not going to leave you."
I think if if I'm in a relationship like he was in, to say if she doesn't want a divorce, I'll be like, listen, we barely can get along. We barely communicate. We have rarely have time with each other. Let's just find some people that we can be happy with for the rest of our lives.
Mhm.
If she didn't want a divorce for whatever reason, I think yes, she should share some of the blame, but not all of it.
Now, there's one thing that I must note from his video that I thought was like I felt it was a mic drop moment. I mean, just oh my gosh, I loved it so much. I wanted to hug that moment. And that was the moment where, after he was explaining what was going on with him and his wife, that he literally just stared at the screen, at the camera, and said, "And by the way, all of which is none of your business."
Exactly.
I loved that moment because he is addressing something that is completely overlooked both in Hollywood as well as for famous people, and that is that everyone who wants to know every niche in their life, every relationship they ever had, well, guess what? That information should be none of your business. If you want to know more about their career, sure, fine, but not the relationships.
This is why I don't like those Hollywood, in-depth stories or those new entertainment news shows.
Uh huh.
Why do we need to know every damn thing these people are doing? I mean, yeah, this person's humanitarian. He's putting his own money into recovering hurricane victims, or
Mm hmm.
he's building them. He's helping building houses. I mean, stuff like that should be in the news. Not, oh, these two are getting a divorce or these two are having a fight. I don't care about that stuff. It. I mean, unless it's very important to know, it's just meaningless to me. I mean,
Mm hmm.
yeah, we do not need to know what these people are doing, but I can care less. I mean, who cares?
I completely agree. It's just that I once saw a History Channel documentary, something that was kind of about propaganda and the paparazzi. It was some history thing about Hollywood, but I heard somewhere in there something about the beginnings of the interest into people's lives. Something I don't remember. It's hazy. I'm not going to try to guess at it because I'm most certainly going to get it wrong. But yeah, I do remember hearing something about it, and I remember thinking to myself, "Really? That's what started it?" And I'm like, "That what? I can't believe that we have a society where we're literally hanging on every single thing that happens to a famous person, focusing on that more than we focus on our own lives. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, okay. I mean, like for instance, let's say Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. I think they're still together. If not, I could be wrong because I
Mm-hmm.
don't keep up with Hollywood's lives. Let's say they donate half their wealth or a couple $1 million for hurricane relief.
Uh huh.
That should be reported on. Not like,
Yeah.
oh, Brad Pitt was caught uh, going to the movies or he was just walking in the mall. I mean,
I,
I could care less.
Here's the other stuff. Like, oh my God, they had a baby. Or, by the way, did you hear that they are actually having arguments behind the scenes? Oh, and rumors of, oh, could it be they're breaking up? Seriously, that stuff,
Oh yeah,
I
I hate
can't
that.
stand it.
I mean, like, it's like we need to know everything these celebrities are doing. Yes, ProJared is somewhat of a public figure, and as well
Hmm.
as his ex-wife.
Exactly.
I mean, if you don't want that type of publicity, don't become a high-profile individual. That's all you got.
Well, I don't think I want to be so quick to blame it on the position. I think I would rather be quick to blame it on the society and the so-called um, uh, what's socially acceptable than the position itself, because we've developed as a society to come to think that knowing interpersonal things about famous people is the norm. Well, that should not be the norm. That should be something that is completely private to those people. And I think that rather than attack the position and the person for not for trying to for oh, they should have knew what they were getting into, I think we should rather attack the idea that it's okay to know this stuff if you're if you're a public person.
Well, true. Because I can't remember the name, but I mean, it was a movie about this big name action star, who just wants to have a simple life. I mean, for his family,
Mhm.
and I think it's what called paparazzi or something. I can't remember it, but it was something. It was the premise that an actor, catches a paparazzi. Hey, was taking pictures of his doctor's son. He said, "Hey, can you
Mm.
please quit taking pictures of my kid?" And he was like, "Oh no, I don't care. I can't let you tell me to do that. Oh, I got this right. Oh, I got it." And he punches the guy, and a van door opens. And it's a couple more paparazzi with cameras. I'm like, oh god, that is so much like real life. But here's the
Mhm.
twist: he goes after the paparazzi, after those three paparazzis, and kills them. I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the trailer. I was like, holy shit! I wish it was real.
Here's the thing that you must understand about the paparazzi that is real. They use the protection that you can't assault me and that this is free press way too often. They use it as armor. Literally, they use the idea that you are a public figure. I have full right to photo and to record you, and they use that as the biggest armor to protect themselves ever. And if you try to fight back, they will use that as further evidence to report on. It is criminal.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I remember, I want to say it was Halle Berry because she's been the most outspoken against the paparazzi.
Hmm.
She, I want to say it was like, I know it was sometime after Catwoman, and don't get me started on how awful that film was. It was bad.
It was not bad for me.
Well, it was bad to me because it was just. I mean, I think it was just the script and the CGI and that thing that sticks out the most. But anyways,
Mm.
she went to the California state legislator, and she asked to say, "Hey, I don't want the paparazzi taking pictures of my kids. can you make it to be illegal for members of the paparazzi to take pictures of kids under 18 or 12? I can't remember the age, but and apparently it did pass. It's now illegal to take pictures of children without their parents' consent. Consent.
Without their parents' consent.
Yeah, consent.
Yes.
I mean, like, I'm having problems with words, people, because I got so much on my mind.
Right.
But this shows that we are so focused on these people's lifestyle. I mean, yeah, I don't. Here's another YouTuber I like, Gaijin Goomba. I like his work. I mean, yes. I mean, I find his work interesting. He talks about Japanese culture, some of our favorite anime. He talks about a lot of things. That's pretty good.
Right.
I mean, why are people talking about him every single day? Or Aki Dearest, who's another famous anime YouTuber. She has, well, actually at the time, her and Jared had about the same amount of viewers, but now she has over 1 million. He only have like 700,000, but it just shows that we just focus on these people's lives too much.
And if you actually look at it from an outsider's point of view, you will tend to notice that there is something odd about this. We focus on these people's lives as if they were more important than our own.
Yeah,
as if they were the biggest news to ever come off of a newsreel, and it's more important than the situation that we're currently in. Like, what happened to, oh, well, we got to make sure that we have good standings in our schools? Or what about the new environmental control? Or, oh, we've got a vote coming up. We've got to vote for our district. Well, half of that stuff gets overlooked because, ooh, this person had a baby, or ooh, this person is arguing with this person.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I'm trying to think of who it was, but oh damn it, I can't remember her name. But she died. Who was
Princess Diana?
No, I mean no, it wasn't Princess Diana. It was It was some American actress or. Damn it. Her, who was it? She married a billionaire that was like half her age, and she lost the fight for the estate because he passed away, and she was trying to get some of his money. Damn it, I can't remember her name, but when she passed away, you know what headline was overlooked? Three soldiers died. So you're telling me that this, wannabe Hollywood celebrity is more important than our soldiers? Let me tell you this. Our soldiers are putting their lives on the line every single day, and yet you put a wannabe Hollywood star on the front page over their deaths? What's wrong with you people? Our soldiers who are in like half a way around the world at times, fighting bad people, and yet they don't get the news stories that they deserve. I think our troops should be more important than some Hollywood wannabes. This is why I do not like our.
I have a theory. It's not much of one, but it is a theory, and it happens to fit the facts. That theory is, I think that news has become more about entertainment than it has been. Than it's more about entertainment than it is about information and being informed. I think that we have gotten so accustomed to entertainment that we think of anyone involved in the entertainment industry is more important than the news because the news is shown in a form of entertainment.
Yeah, I think I just remember who died. I think it was Anna Nicole Smith. When she passed away, on her the day that she died, we lost 3 soldiers. Yeah, that was headline news. Anna Nicole Smith dies. That's who it was. I mean, like, I knew it was something.
Yeah.
And I just remember, it was Anna Nicole Smith, so...
Yeah. Um, yeah, and of course that's not the only incident where the military is getting the boot because of other stuff. There have been several countless examples of how the military is not given the respect that they deserve, but we're not going to go into that.
Yeah, I mean, I got family members that served this country, in during some major wars, but I'm not going to go into that either. But
Right.
let's talk about something else, something more unique. So,
Uh huh.
uh, there's been some news lately about Cyberpunk 2077.
Mm
Apparently, some people are losing their minds because CD Projekt Red decided to remove the gender and replace it with body type. Now,
You
I
talking about like androids and cyber?
cyborgs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. They apparently they're replacing gender with body types. Now, I'm not. I'm not going to throw. I'm not saying that they're riding the woke train. What some people are saying it is, but I think I kind of see where they're going with it because machines.
Now, are they making everything in the game as in like so generic you don't look male or female, or are you saying that they're just acknowledging that people in the game they may look male or female but they're actually just artificial?
No, what they're trying to do is, from what I've been hearing, is make the so-called non-binary people more happy. Now, for those who know what binary means, is a person who identifies neither as male or female. Now, I'm not against how people identify themselves, but when you're telling me, oh, you should call me by my pronouns, them, zer, they, them. Okay, I'm not going to call you by your pronouns. I'm going to call you what I see in front of me. If I see a woman, I'll call you a ma'am. If I see a man, I'll call you sir. If you do not like that, sue me.
I think it's a radical change, and whether people are ready for it or not, I think it actually might be a good thing to start introducing into the world, because we're starting to come to a point where gender is no longer the norm, and there is now a it is now a time where we need to be looking less at gender and more about the person themselves. So
I kind of agree with that, but when you're talking about less than 1% of the world's population that is identified as non-binary, and yes, this is a fictional world where politics
mhm.
are also fictional. I kind of see that this is a mixed bag idea, but I just don't know where to stand on this because I don't. I mean, if I want a male body with a male voice, I go with a male with a male. If I want a female body with a female voice, I should have rights to choose this as a female. But
But
well, go ahead.
there's also and I apologize for interjecting, but I do feel I need to interject here. Um, there's also the fact that we now have people who are transgender and who are actually, uh, people who like a guy who feels like that they are more feminine, and even but they're a victim of the fact that their vocal cords are more masculine.
Well, to me, I don't care how you identify personally. If you identify as a man or a woman or something in between, I'm fine with that.
But that's exactly what we're addressing here. They're identifying as a non-gender. You're saying so it's okay to identify as the opposite sex, but it's not okay to identify as no gender?
I guess you can say that, but I have very little to say about this issue because I feel like that yes, we should have the right to choose our own character's gender,
Mm-hmm.
but if you want to make them a transgender robot, fine, do that in the game. But it's going to be a slippery slope because you got people who do not want identity politics in games or in entertainment at all,
Mm.
like me, because I just want to play a good game with a good story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Right.
many people say this is why Mass Effect Andromeda failed because of the politics it was trying to push. Uh, the reason why so many other games has failed because of their politics, or they want politics in the game.
Mm-hmm. I'm just gonna say one quick thing. The main reason why Andromeda failed, I guarantee you, was not the politics. It was the presentation. God, the screenshots. Oh my God.
Yeah, the screenshots were kind of bad, but it. I mean,
I understand what you're saying. I do.
yeah, I mean, like it if they just focus, I mean, well, and plus, Bioware had problems communicating with
Mm-hmm.
EA because I mean, there's been documents saying this, that that their big franchises like their sports games and other stuff take over the priority over everything else. I'm like, just treat all your games the same, so we can so all your games can be good.
Now, there's something interesting.
Yeah.
Treat all your games the same. Now, let's take a look at this for a second. Let's say we treat all our games the same. Then what changes? What look at it this way. How many Call of Duties do we have? How many times have people said that Call of Duty needs to die because it doesn't hardly change?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. There's like a yearly Call of Duty game is not a good idea.
The problem is that so much stuff has already been done before. They need new material. They have to push the boundaries in order to keep it fresh. And that is the reason why they're probably doing this.
Well, exactly. I mean, like, I see. I mean, like, I know I played up to Call of Duty Ghost, and like I'm about to think about starting Advanced Warfare. No, I think that's what it's called, but no, it's not Infinite Warfare, but I think it's called Advanced Warfare. I don't need to look up a game real quick, but right before I haven't even taken it out of the wrapper, so it shows how lazy I am.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got done with Ghost, I was like, the story's just forgettable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it felt like much like Call of Duty Black Ops 2 in some ways. I mean, like, I just felt that their stories are not evolving. They all feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you need to get me back into the game. I mean, like, I made a lot of mistakes in the stories by not paying attention or making the wrong decisions or whatever. If they're like, well, if there's like the story affects the ending, yeah, I get it.
Besides, politics can be a useful tool for a plot twist or two.
I can't understand. I do understand that, but I mean, this goes back to when we were talking about Ubisoft that one time. I mean, like, yes, I understand, but you can't put politics in a game that people want because it takes a good time to make a game. It takes like 5 years to make a good quality game, and a lot can change in 5 years.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think see. Maybe no. Well, okay. So basically, here's what I'm thinking. Originally, I was thinking, maybe only real-world politics shouldn't be included. But then I was like, wait a minute. What is real-world politics? Just about anything you can think up that is fake politics or fantasy politics can be applied to real world. So really, that line isn't there. And so when you look at it that way, what would a game look like without any politics? It would look bland, boring, and quite frankly, like a children's book.
Yeah, I agree, but but I think it's just how much politics is there. I mean, like if it's like a little politics, like saying, well, I disagree with this candidate because he reminds me of President so and so, or this politician can make our country great again, or this politician is against guns, this person's against gay marriage, or he's against this. I get it, but I mean, I'm not right now. I am kind of thinking about pre-ordering Cyberpunk 2077, but I'm thinking about this holding off right now. But I still got a few more months to make up my mind. But right now, I'm just going to hold judgment on this decision and see if they're going to change their mind. Say, hey, we heard you. What we're going to do is we're just going to give you a customized robot. Make it how you want, and just go from there. That's all I think they need to do.
Well, the other thing you got to understand is it is a fantasy world, and fantasy worlds are subject to creative license. Whether you want to put in politics or not should be up to the developers, not for the players to decide, because the players need to experience the world. I guess what I'm saying is the game is created in the image of the expression of the creator, not in the expression for what's the most popular or what people want necessarily. Look at Kojima. He makes whatever he feels like he believes in. He doesn't care what people say about his games.
Well, yeah, I mean, he makes good games because he knows what sells. I mean...
I don't think that's true.
Okay, he had made a few bad games, yes.
No. That's not what I meant.
Oh, what do you mean?
I don't think that he makes games because he knows what sells. He is just famous for making games from the heart, for making games that he wanted to make and making them well. That's what sells games, is making games well, not if you put politics in them or not. It's all about the polish. It's all about how well do you tie in the elements that you put into your game together. How interesting do you make it with a certain scenario? It's not about what you put in, and it's how you tell the story.
Yeah, I agree with that, because it's how well you tell the story, how well it's polished, and yeah, it could shine so brightly you can see it from space if you wanted to, but I highly doubt that. But,
and you see, that's the point that I want to make on Cyberpunk 2077. Let's say there is politics in there. If they tell the story well enough, it will still be enjoyed.
Yeah, I guess I'm just over curious or over thinking this issue, because I mean, we have seen so many game developers bow down to these crybabies who think, oh, you're not representing my people, or you're not representing my community. I mean, like, so what? How many times have I played a black character in a game and I didn't bitch? I didn't moan and groan. I didn't say, oh, this character's not autistic like me. You should have made him autistic so I can feel special. So what? I don't care if I'm playing. I don't care if I'm playing a mixed race woman with one leg. Only thing I care about is the story, and the characters are interesting. That's all I care about.
So are you afraid? So is the reason why you're bringing this up is because you were afraid that associating with non-binary things in the game was going to jeopardize its launch, and you were hoping for a good game and you didn't want it to fail?
I have seen so many games bow down and fail because of this. I mean, like, for instance, there was this one game that was medieval, set in, like, was supposed to be like medieval Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they were like, oh, there's no black people in here, or there's no this people or that people. I say, okay, if it's based off of a certain place at a certain time, they did their research and they found out that maybe like 1% of the population was black, or
I know exactly what game you're talking about.
yeah, okay,
You're talking about Kingdom Come
Deliverance, yeah,
Deliverance.
yeah.
Yep.
I knew it was Kingdom Come something. I couldn't remember right on my ass.
Yep. I remember exactly everything about that because I was so excited that they were going to have a history accurate game.
Yeah, I mean, like, if I want to make a history accurate game and people are complaining about it, okay, fine. I'll make a black Nazi female. How about that being for historically accurate?
But here's the thing, if they wanted a game like that, then they should be playing a sandbox game, not playing this game. I'm sorry, but anyone who thinks like that is literally putting their hatred towards the wrong thing, because if you don't like the game, there's a simple solution. Don't buy it. Don't play it.
Exactly. I mean, the best thing I like about customizing your own players, you can find the best, custom features that look closely like yourself. I mean, whether you be the most strong, you could be the most jacked up guy or the fattest piece of shit in the game, and still be like, hey, I made myself in this game, so suck it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like, I am concerned, but I'm willing to give it a try. But,
I'm sure there will be a demo somewhere along the line before release.
Yeah, I do wish, I do wish that, some people just stop and think about what they're doing, because, yes, I will admit I am guilty of this, and I probably said it before, I'll say it again. I judge by the simplest things, and I go on a billion word tyrant, and when it comes out, it's nothing exactly what I thought. I remember, the Mortal Kombat Rebirth thing. I hated it. I will admit it. I hated the trailer. But once I saw it came out, once I saw Legacy come out, okay, I can get behind this project. It's a little more accurate, a little bit better than I thought it would be, but still, I jump on the littlest things, bitch about it, and I wonder why I'm always eating my own words.
Well, may I offer a suggestion?
What would that be?
The influence of the most popular public opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because popular public opinion affects more people than you think. It is a voice that is easy to cling on to without having to go through the effort of coming up with a voice yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I try not to, jump on the popular opinion, because usually I'm afraid to be wrong. So I just sit on the sidelines and let people duke it out themselves.
But here's the thing. Jumping onto the popular public opinion, is so easy because you always want to be where the crowd is. You always want to feel like you're part of the team. But it's just as important to come up with your own conclusion as well, because if you are not coming up with your own conclusion, then you might as well be a zombie.
I agree with that. If you told me that, let's say, this movie has the most amazing graphics, or this movie had the best story of all time, I was like, okay, and I go to see it, and I was like, it was okay, but it wasn't like groundbreaking, but it was still a good film. I find good movies that are older than me. I was born in '83. I seen movies from the '70s, '80s, And these movies were awesome. I mean, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they may not have the best special effects or the best soundtrack, but look at how they did a good film.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, like, I mean, until I play it, I can't really judge it. But yeah, I'm only judging on the information, and I need to quit doing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, information is entertaining in some regard because it sparks the mind in a sense that, ooh, maybe it is true or maybe it's false. I better go see.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how many times, um, I thought something's going in one way, but it goes completely different direction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I get it. I'm wrong. Until I get my hands on it and play it, I don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
But, from the first, like what was it, like a 48-minute demo, okay, yeah, it looks good. It has a good environment. It has amazing, it's an amazing environment. It has amazing graphics. I mean, they could be improved since then, but
Mm-hmm.
I, I mean, they probably have great characters. They probably have one of the best, you know, written games that came out in a long time. I mean, BioWare used to do that, but now they just hardly done any good games lately.
The other thing to note is that going back on the original topic,
Oh yeah, we need to get back on topic.
it's very hard to judge games before launch anymore because it is now so socially acceptable to look at a game, look at its pieces and parts, and say, "Ooh, this is bad," or "Ooh, this is great," and it's kind of like judging a book based off of a single page. It
Yeah,
is not. You can't really get the sum of its parts without the rest of the information. And in this case, for games, the rest of the information is not the pieces that are inside the game. It's when you actually play the game. What's the experience you get? Because interaction is the key that you're being denied when you're judging it based off of before release.
and I agree. And and I really hate to say this, some games are so overhyped nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like they try to treat it as it's going to be the next groundbreaking game. It's going to sell 50 million copies. And
Mm-hmm.
and by the time the reports come out, within, let's say, 3 months, it only sells 10 million copies, and you predicted 20 million or
Right.
50 million. I mean, like, just let a game sell. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, well, at least you tried something different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and I will like this game to be good. I like to see if they're just going to try keep it, somewhat immersive, because it looks like
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be way better than Mass Effect because it has potential.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see. Like I said, right as of right now, I am going to keep my eyes on this. Keep it on my
Mm-hmm.
wish list on GOG.com or
Right.
Go Games, because that's the only where I can pre-order or buy on PC, because I want to try out my awesome new PC gaming, which I've been trying to put together because of work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would like to have it operational at least before then. If I quit drinking and acting like a total big jackass,
Mm-hmm.
which I rarely do, but I still act like a jackass sometimes. So, I mean, that's my piece on the whole issue of the Cyberpunk. You got anything else to add, Steph?
Let's see here. Um, Now you do realize that you can pre-order Cyberpunk 2077 on Steam, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to support Steam. I want to support good old games.
Okay.
For those who don't
And
know, CD Projekt Red owns good old games, so that's why I'm supporting.
ooh, I did not know that.
Well, now you know.
And knowing is half the fightle.
It's half the battle, not half the final. Good
So,
G.I. Joe
so, so,
reference.
so I err, and thus I am.
Oh man,
Uh,
classic references that only we can understand.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, like, I'm gonna support good old games because I think they're a little bit better than
And
Steam.
and the thing is about good old games is that they release these with zero uh,
DRM.
DRM, and what that is digital right medium. What that means is basically any type of software or method to tie it into linking it with some kind of chain. And what I mean by chain is like, let's say, okay, here's an example: license keys or launchers. These are common DRM methods. And what do I mean by that? Well, basically these keys and launchers lock that game to a specific method of acquisition or certain number of activations. What this means is that you only get to own it for a certain on certain platforms or for a certain amount of time. And what that it just it's not very it doesn't give you the sense like you actually own it. It feels like it's more of a rental.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, like I think good old games is like a little bit better laid out than Steam, and
Oh yeah, not to mention the bonuses that they usually feature with some of these purchases.
oh
Oh, it's
yeah,
so wonderful.
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get something from Steam, it better be like an
Hmm.
exclusive. I mean, I
I
mean
mean,
like. I mean, yeah. I mean, like if it's like a Steam exclusive and if you
mhm.
recommend it, I say okay, I'll try it out.
I usually purchase it on whatever goes the cheapest first, but I do tend to prefer good old games over Steam. It's just that uh, quite often Steam has bigger and more often sales than good old games does.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's our piece on Cyberpunk
Yeah,
2077.
yeah,
One last thing.
sure.
I've been hearing some weird things about Disney lately. I mean, they apparently it came out like a week or so ago that they have
Hmm.
been falsifying their revenue as of lately. As far back as 2008, a former employee filed a complaint with the not the federal government. I believe was the SEC. I believe that's a security. It's something like it's the
Hmm.
SEC. I'm not sure what that is because
Right.
I know what they do, but I don't know what that. It's something exchange something. I don't know what the initials mean. So the SEC received a complaint that they had been cooking the books by an ex-employee who was fired for speaking out against Disney while she was employed originally.
Hmm.
And that makes me question a few things, though, because I know you and I had this debate before. Have Does this mean that they have been cooking the books because they have been, buying tickets to their own movies and not asking for refunds?
Now, I'll say this. It is easy to assume so because of the vast popularity that has been given to many of the Disney franchise movies as of late. Especially whenever you consider many of the controversies around certain films, and yet when it comes out, all of a sudden it gets big numbers.
Oh yeah, like Captain Marvel. I mean, like, I mean, right before Disney acquired Fox, people were saying, "Oh, they were complaining about, oh, you shouldn't go see Alita because it's not a strong female character." I mean, Captain Marvel is a better female character than Alita. The reason why I didn't go see Captain Marvel was because of Brie Larson's mouth. Okay,
I understand that.
And to me, saying that, oh, I don't need a white man or a man to defend me. I don't need this. I don't need that. I do my own stunts. Okay. Then why weren't you with your stunt doubles when you're accepting an award? An award. So that just shows that yes, she used stunt doubles in her movie.
We're getting a little off topic.
Yeah,
so.
I know, but that's what she was claiming.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Regardless of the internal politics,
oh yeah, sorry.
The focus here is whether or not they are cooking the books. Now, like I said, it would be easy to assume so because of, like what I said earlier. However, you also got to understand that there's not much evidence of this until recently.
Yeah, and right now they're just allegations right now, and if Disney is found guilty of this, and to me, I think that they could be in some serious financial trouble because it just shows that for the past decade they have not been very well set. I mean, they just spent $1 billion on their new theme park, Galaxy Edge, and that was another flop.
Right.
From what I'm hearing, they only have one of the two rides opened. Their prices for the parks are last time I checked was like $160 a person for a day. Their annual park holders or car holders, whatever you want to call them, they're like $500 to $600, maybe more. I took a small glance, so I'm not for sure how accurate this information is. I'll put a link in the description so it can be more accurate. But I can see why they're not having a big turnout as of lately because of the prices.
It's just that it just kind of makes me question whether or not this is true, because think about it this way. If this has been going on for so long, why hasn't anybody tried to challenge this until now? It's the same way that I look at these sexual assault allegations where the incident happened decades before the actual complaint was made public.
Yeah, I mean, like, if somebody raised concern about this, an actual employee raised concern about it, and nothing was done, and the higher up saying, well, you just probably did the numbers wrong, we'll look into it, and nothing's been done for a decade or so, I think that is concerning, because as a child, I respected Disney. Then when they start buying it, when they start to buy Marvel, LucasArts, Fox, any other company, I kind of slowly lost respect for them, because the only thing they're going to do is just reboot whatever franchise they want and put it in their own personal politics now. I mean, Marvel Comics is in the tanks. Their movies are doing very well. I mean, like, if every single one of them makes $1 billion minimum, that's good. But if their parts are not doing good and they have to cook the books just to make them look good, that's kind of concerning because if people, there's several lifelong Disney fans are turning against Disney now. I mean, I mean,
And the other thing, yeah,
go ahead. I talked too long.
yeah. And the other thing to consider is there is one particular record that would be drastically affected by this if this turns out to be true, and that is Marvel's Endgame. Or should I say Infinity War Part 2. If it turns out that they cooked the books of that particular film, they could have the title of most sold, highest grossing movie of all time taken away from them.
Exactly, but I Monday Matt or Matt Jarvo, however you want to say his name, or whatever YouTube name he's going by, he used to work in the theaters, and he told me that theaters are required to have the stubs from movies up to 3 years. I think I'm not. I mean, I'll have to link the video or rewatch the video, and he says in case of an investigation, like in case accusations like this happen, they can call the SEC can call up the theater saying, hey, we need the numbers of the movie, the stubs for this movie, and they're required by law to report the numbers to the government so they know whether or not there's some actual fault or misinformation that's being publicized, because this is, I mean, like I think it's like half their income has been falsified, if I remember right, because it was like a couple $1 billion that was inflated. I mean, I mean the numbers are not right top of my head. I was know at least 5 or 6 billion was inflated, but it was a lot of money.
I see.
I mean, this is like some serious allegations. I mean, that's what they are right now, allegations. I'm not siding with the government or Disney right now. I'm just going to play from the sidelines. That's the best thing I can do. I mean, I know you and I had a proper conversation about this one time. I mean, you didn't believe me, but I think Disney has been, buying up tickets and not asking for refunds for quite some time, if you ask me. I mean, I can say that a million times, and you still probably won't believe me, right?
I don't know. Originally, I didn't believe you because nothing had ever came out about it other than just your word. And I'm a man who believes in there being some facts on the table first before a conversation is started. So
yeah, I think we talked about it right after Captain Marvel came out, because it. I mean, like, as much as I disagree with Brie Larson and her politics, I think that a lot of people were not going to see it because of her mouth was just running nonstop, and Kevin Feige was too busy worrying about, Black Panther must get an award. It must get an award. I think he was thinking of other things that were considered more important than Brie Larson.
Right. But, there may be some truth to this because, like we said before, it does look suspicious.
Yeah, and I do think that there's probably some allegations. I think these allegations could be true. But if they are true, I'm just going to say this. I won't support Disney anymore.
But think about it this way. There is just one thing I will say before we conclude all this.
Oh yeah, we need to
look at what happened with ProJared. We're almost doing the same thing here, where we're trying to identify whether the rumors are true, believing only what we have been told and not doing hardly any fact checking ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to, discredit or believe these allegations. I think we should just take it with a grain of salt and let the government do their investigation, and probably within 2 years, maybe 3, I'm not for sure, they will probably come out with findings. But I'm not for quick justice, because something this massive that's been going on for so long
will take time to investigate.
Will take time, and once all the players, given their statements, been interviewed, fact checked, make sure that everything's been dotted, all the T's crossed. I think if these are true, I'm just gonna stop support Disney, at least until the investigation is concluded, because I'm not gonna waste my time with these type of people. Yes, they've been dragging Marvel in the mud, but I'm not gonna let them drive any more stuff in the mud with their.
Then you will hate me, because I will continue to, regardless of what Disney does, I will still continue to watch Marvel films, but for a different reason. And that is, whenever I go to see a film, I don't watch it based off with intentions from politics in the real world. If I go see a film, it's because I am interested in the story and the characters. It has nothing to do with my status on belief about the internal or external politics surrounding that movie.
Okay, I respect your opinion stuff, because yes, you and I are two completely different people. I'm more DC, you're more Marvel. I'm more Star Wars, you're more Star Trek. And yeah, we may have different opinions.
Well, I've grown to love Star Wars a lot more than I used to. I now love them both equally.
Well, originally you were more Star Wars, but I still, Star Trek.
Yes, that is true.
You originally was more Star Trek, and I was more Star Wars. But yeah, I will acknowledge how good the Star Trek films are, and say, yeah, they're good. They're very heavy on real world situations, that how we should all approach things, neutral, and try to resolve them peacefully. But I've always respected Star Trek just as much as Star Wars. But even though Star Wars is more a part of my childhood, I try to respect them both.
Yeah. Anyhow, we have now been talking for I don't know how long.
An hour and 12 minutes.
Okay. Well. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything, have we?
Yeah. 3 topics sounds a whole lot easier than like 6 or 7 like we tried to put in.
Yeah. Now on to closing statements. Unfortunately, I may not be in hardly any of these videos, in any of these podcasts anymore. Things that, whether or not this is my last podcast is yet to be determined, but let's just say, with the way things have been going in my life, I have been finding less and less time to do these. It is just, things have not been working out with getting these done. We will think about, let's do one this week, and then something happens. Let's do one next week, then something happens. The miracle is that we were able to get anything done today. So.
Oh yeah, well, see, and also some things are on my end, because I still got the medical bills from late May that needs to be paid off, and luckily I'm lucky to get under $200, which is good. I mean, like the most. I've been asking extra time at work. I've been, I worked 6 days in a row 1 week. Oh my God, that was painful for my knees. You guys don't know what I had to go through. Because yes, I work at a casino. I'm a janitor. Oh, how hard's that? Well, we are dealing with loud music, and the machine's going off left and right. the first day I want to get, it takes me about 2 hours at times just to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at times I work on a Sunday, and that's usually when we do these recordings, and I upload them on a Wednesday or whenever I can get a chance to do it if I'm not lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, Steph, you and I have had many conversations off record, and yeah, I see your point. Let's not talk about this. Let's worry about that another time. Yeah, I may always, yeah, let's talk about what you want to talk about. Yeah, because I like you, or let's change this. Let's change that. Yeah, what I may personally do stuff is continue, Total Chaos podcast, by interviewing people that I've been following for quite some time, whether they're working on comic books or
Mm-hmm.
whether they have something interesting that this guy that I met at conventions doing a
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter for whatever reason. I may interview him or her, pretend
Right.
what they are, because I when I was at New World Comic Con, I saw this awesome plushie that's being crowdfunded. It didn't succeed the first time, but it's been re-uploaded, and I'm going to put the Kickstarter in the description, because if you like a cactus that looks like a cat, you're gonna you're gonna want one, because I want one so bad that I'm throwing my own money down on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, um, so this does mean that you will be, for lack of a better word, expanding. This
Yeah,
will give you an opportunity
yeah,
to experiment with other avenues, which
yeah.
is good.
I kind of want to do that beforehand, but since you and I kind of thought it was a good idea to experiment with each other, and we disagreed on a lot of things on this podcast, and yeah, and I saw things your way because maybe I wasn't thinking like how you were thinking, or maybe I should rethink my opinion on this, like you always do. I mean, yeah, I was against the Fox Disney merger, and you were for it.
Mm-hmm. But we also got to understand is whether or not we agreed with each other, it was the experience of making those um, arguments work. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it was not about the action, but the journey.
Yeah, I mean, like, I may disagree with something that my grandmother said, one time. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, yeah, as good as woman she is, you don't want to make her angry, so you gotta, yeah, I see that, I see that. Or when she said, "Man, you kids have it easy these days," I said, "Really? Explain." And she goes on, "Well, back in my day, I had a kerosene light lantern for light." I say, "Wow, we are lucky." So you realize don't how lucky our generation has it compared to our grandparents' generation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, we may disagree with them and each other, but we can always have fun with them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm like, oh, I mean, yeah, I know that you can't do much because of your financial situations, because you don't work as much as I do.
Mm-hmm.
I I try to get. I always forget that you don't have much income, and like I'm like, oh, say, man, you should have been to this convention, or you should have been to that one. And it's like I can't go because it costs this much, or it costs that much. Like, oh yeah, I forget.
Well, I mean, I can go to conventions that cost under $10 for an entry, but these conventions recently that I've seen, at least locally, they charge $30 to $50 a ticket.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I understand that I'm probably a little more financial than from my financial set to you than you are,
Mm-hmm.
but I I just. I mean, I wish I mean, the only time we hanging out is when I'm at your place and we're doing something like just sitting on in your room talking about stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I remember this here's a little fun here's a little fun thing about stuff. I was at your place one time, and we were talking about Samuel L. Jackson being in Jurassic Park, and you didn't believe me. Am I right?
Oh, didn't believe is such a strong word.
Yeah. He didn't believe me, so I say, if you don't believe me, look it up, and you looked it up, and what did you see? Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park.
I didn't see Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park. I saw my life slip away and just my words being eaten by a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I was like, told ya.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, like
Yeah, there needed to be one of those emojis where it says "Ta-da!" You're wrong.
you're wrong, motherfucker.
No, let's not get swearing in here.
I know. I'm just trying to act like Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
It's like I will. Uh, I have had it with these effing snakes on this effing plane.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was probably one of his most weirdest films that he's
Most
done.
famous.
Yeah, well, it was weird, but yeah, it's probably famous as well.
Hmm.
Well, Steph, I wish you the best of luck on whatever you do, man, and I hope that we can.
Thank you.
Yeah, we could probably hang out whenever I'm in your part of the your part of the
Mhm.
woods, or hopefully, maybe I can invite you to my part of the woods one day. But right, I got probably find out when my nephew's not around my house. So yeah, so we
Right, right.
So it's just us and a few other people, so we don't have a little 10-year or 9-year-old terror going around.
Hmm.
So I guess I'll just see you around, Stealth.
Yep. See you around.
Yeah, and see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.